last time on The Empire's Edge. Then this giant was assigned to protect the Adlai.
The myth is that it's one of like the 7 original trees that gave birth to all the other Adlai trees.
There's something bigger than an Adlai?
We might be here permanently. If it's between me living and me not living, I'll mess with the bones.
So he's already dead. He's not using them anymore.
The shattered doorway, like, can we break through that? It went somewhere.
The south one, the north one, or the middle one?
Number 3, my lord.
When you finally come back on that last one, it's feeling pretty terrible. And it actually starts to feel like you might never get yourselves out of this place. So you've gotten back to your base camp. You're in the Vartengrav. So then, how much time do you prepare for? There are still a couple more openings, but what do you do now? You've been here for so long, it feels like you've never been outside. You're almost forgetting what it's like to be outside.
I remember the sun.
Yeah, good, I don't. All I remember is Eldritch Blast. So I think really we're just going to be repeating what we're doing right now with the last 2. That we get 4 days of rations set, and then go for 2, come back for 2.
Hoping that one of these 2 remaining ones actually leads out, because how incredibly unlucky.
Yeah. Well, from there, we're getting back to the desperate plan of we turn...
back into fish?
No, because the current goes the wrong way.
So we turn into salmon. Aha!
Upstream.
That we turn Zellen's staff into a tree, and you blink out and go for help.
I think we tried that, and it wasn't like connected to the right network, for lack of a better term.
I don't remember now. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at some point, or it might have been between.
Maybe we can put the staff on the roof by.
Right, yeah.
Better
That's what we were
reception.
talking about.
Crack a hole in the thing.
We
I
were
know
talking about growing it upside
Or
down.
what kind of creature could you change into and
but-
climb out through very small cracks?
I can
Yeah.
also send Jast around too, so she can explore
In spider form currently?
bat form.
Bat form, okay.
So she can explore. We can try to speed up our exploration.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but keeping all things the same, kitting up, grabbing all of our rations that we're going to need for the next 4 days of travel.
Maintaining farms and this
and
oasis we call home.
The other thing I'd like to continue doing periodically is that spell where I can sense people in buildings and shenanigans, buffoonery.
What?
There's the new spell.
Commune with nature.
That was
Oh.
it. That was the one.
It's like she can cast a spell that lets her know if people are, like, being buffoons in the house next door.
So, Zelen, do you recall what the range was on that? Because I'm not remembering right
300 feet when I'm in caves.
now. Okay, gotcha.
In caves and other natural underground settings, the radius is limited to 300 feet.
All right, so over the course of then the next, 4 days, you guys are preparing food again. You really have this place. You're getting it down to a science where you know how much to take, you know what areas there are that you can harvest from, and that some of the stuff that seems to be renewable is...
Which fish like toes, which fish like fingers.
Right, like that guy that fishes for bass just with his thumb, and they just swim up and he grabs them. And
I was making a
takes them
joke
in.
about like cutting off toes and fingers.
Oh,
but
I see, yeah. But
Thought it was a fetish joke. I was really out there.
I'm a paladin. I don't make those jokes. Not on microphone.
But that even places where you've crushed in, when you first walked in and crushed some of the plant life or the the various kind of lichens and things, some of that is already starting to bounce back.
Yeah, we've been here a long time, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been a number of weeks now at this point. You've
It's
been
probably
down in this
getting
cave.
in close to, honestly, might be a couple months, depending on how the interim time is for getting stocks back up.
Yeah, so it has been quite the long time you've been down inside here. And you have your stuff prepared, and like you had
Have we
said...
seen any bluebirds from people trying to talk to us?
Nope, none have come down. But like Jacob had said, that there's still 2 more passages. So
Right.
Want to flip a coin?
yeah, why don't you, Jacob, just roll a 50-50 and we'll see which one you go down next.
Do odd is left, even is right. Odd. Natural 1. Glad I got that out of the way now.
Yeah,
Okay, right. All right, so you guys take
Well, that does
one.
not bode well, actually.
Yeah, it's
All right, we'll go to the left.
All right, so again, like others, it starts off as a cavern wide enough, an opening wide enough for you guys to traverse fairly easily. And then it narrows down fairly significantly. Oh, and just to remind, who's wearing what gear and how much armor, etc. do you guys have on right now?
have hammer, have backpack.
Okay, so your heavy armor is left behind.
Right.
Yeah, I think because our armor was lighter, I think we were still...
I'm keeping my armor on because I can
Right.
transform into something small and take it
But
with me. So.
since we've done this a few times already, we probably have decided like we're going to leave certain things there. So bringing, light backpack with rations and a few other important
Well, you've
beads,
got a
and
magic
then
quiver. You can stash 6 billion bows.
magic
in,
quiver
so-
with all of my 1,000,000.2 bows.
But
that
any
you just,
extraneous gear, you're just
tie
leaving
to an
back at
ankle.
the base camp.
I think since we've been doing
I'll
this
leave
for a
my
month.
iron pot back at the base camp. Other than that, it's all coming with
What do
me.
you think if you actually needed it this time? You travel out far enough, and it gets to the point where you're actually getting fairly good at this. You're maneuvering through the rocks, and there isn't a point where you have to do
Did
any...
we gain proficiency in spelunking?
Oh, yeah. It's heading that
Slithering.
way. That you are used to gauging the spot, that hips go here, shoulders go there, turning sideways, and you're gauging it much better. How narrow it is. It's still uncomfortable, probably for you in particular, Boris, when you get to those spots where you're definitely aware of the fact that your ear is dragging on both sides of the rock as you're pushing yourself through, and your shoulders are barely going, let alone your glorious.
I think like the
pecs.
top
Your
of my head is.
shoulders should block that.
Yeah, right.
Well, if you turn your head sideways.
You're like Kingpin from Spider-Man. You're just the same thickness, just constant.
Yeah, but then my shoulders would still stop that because they're about like 3 feet higher than my head.
Didn't realize Boris was so chunky. He's thick.
I am an absolute unit.
But no one risks getting stuck. And as you've traveled out the first day, you set your camp, you found a relatively wide spot in the trail here, relatively
A
level.
place where we could have a fire and not burn our toes off.
If you could even have a fire.
What toes we have
That's,
left.
non-
Yeah, right.
It's a non-magical fire.
Well, we've got all of them. It's just some of them happen to be in fish.
Nice. All right.
And setting camp.
let's say we'd been doing cold camps up to this point. Did we think
Right.
we'd probably swapped
Oh.
out?
Never mind that.
Yeah,
It's a matter of if you had taken a bag of the
No.
various shelf fungus with you.
probably not.
All
Yeah.
right.
Saving our fires from when we're back in our home, away from home.
Well,
right.
and for torches,
Yeah.
because you people need to see.
All right. So
Actually, I have dark. We both have dark vision. We can cast it.
Yeah.
I have it without expending resources.
yeah, so you wake up in the middle of the night and you're scared, and you've got to cast a spell first. So you're turning the nightlight on.
It takes me longer than 6 seconds to turn on my current lamp on my side of my bed.
Get good.
Well, I have to ask Google to do it because it's a smart light. So I call out into the darkness like I'm casting a spell.
You still have to cast a spell. You're just casting a light cantrip.
That's the best part. It actually turns off automatically after an hour. All right. Yeah, I am actually living in a fantasy world.
There are no encounters that night.
Oh,
Good.
Hey, so I do have a spell called Freedom of Movement, which can help people move faster through difficult terrain if we want to do that.
I think this is less difficult terrain, which is kind of like undergrowth or like gravel or whatnot, and more
Like
Yeah.
actual obstacles.
right. Yeah, 6 foot tall, 3 foot wide peg in 2 foot tall, 1 foot wide hole.
So you're suddenly all covered like in Vaseline, magically.
Well, how did you think I got my armor on? Well, baby powder works better, but if all you got is Vaseline.
So, but yeah, if nothing happens that night, we'll just, grab all our gear back up,
Yeah.
keep going in the morning.
Yeah, and again, you're
Wake
aware
up
of
with the sun.
Yeah, you're aware of that same depressive feeling that you wake up and it's still total darkness.
Yeah.
You don't feel particularly rested, and it's just a matter of trudging on, and you do. The passage splits at one point, but one of the splits just turns into like a knifed edge dead end, and then the other one continues for the better part of that entire day.
I would like to retrieve a knife edge.
Yeah, Jacob, being out in front, I guess.
Yeah, probably.
Go ahead and make a survival check.
Right, I can do that. Scroll over skills. There we go. 27.
There is a
Nice.
different quality
Yeah.
of air hitting you. You think it's actually moving.
Oh, sorry,
there's
my bad.
Something tantamount to a slight breeze.
Okay. Any change in like the scent of the air, like any sort of like less stale, like it's fresher air, or
Yeah, fresh might not be exactly accurate, but it has different qualities to it. Either if it's a different kind of living something that's in the air, different funguses or lichens or whatnot. The stone's different, maybe a little more moisture to it,
okay.
but it's definitely different.
Well, let's have Jas fly ahead for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's a
and-
fun.
Can I see anything within 120 feet?
Look with your special
It's
eyes.
not a
My brand.
It's not a straight shot through the opening in the rock.
Okay, so we're
you
not
could
like,
be like
at the cusp
15.
of a cavern.
Is the
No,
hole
no,
roughly
not yet.
bat-sized?
A bat could potentially fly through it, but it'd be fairly tight to maneuver left or right.
Go, Jas, go.
All right, so Jas flies out. How far do you want Jas to go, and then have Jas to come back?
What's the range of your telepathy?
Go until you see something.
I don't know. How do I know that?
The find familiar spell?
It's in the description.
I would look it up, but I do not have an open tab available to me at the moment.
I do.
I think I remember it was reasonably close. Like I want to say it was like 100 feet or 400 feet, something like that. It wasn't like miles. You could take I think as a warlock, you could take a
telepathy is 100 feet.
And I think that can be increased.
And you can commandeer its senses.
Yeah.
All right, so commandeering senses and it's flying out.
Yeah, so no more than 100 feet.
It is jarring at the speed at which it has to turn and maneuver, that since you've commandeered its senses, you're aware that it's almost flying right into rock the entire time. It can barely maneuver through this space. But then about 60, maybe 70 feet forward, it opens up into a much larger cavern. And it's not huge like Vartangrav or other places like that, but it is definitely larger than anything you've been in before. Tube-like, and it's as though this tees into it and up high. So it's a very tall cavern it comes into. So it's probably going to circle around and, let's say, land where the tunnel you're in teed into this new one.
Okay, so we're heading into a large cavern. Is there anything moving around the cavern? Is there anything living around the cavern?
There's nothing moving around the cavern now.
Okay, so there's nothing moving. How close are we to this cavern?
60 or 70 feet.
Okay, so I'm going to cast that.
Before we cast things, where are we in our rations?
You are about halfway through. You've gone almost to the end of the second day.
It might be wise that we resupply for a much longer trip and then open up access to further cavern networks and then travel once we're not going to starve on the way back.
That's true. If we only have enough rations to get back to our camp.
Yeah, but what if we could just set a new camp here? What if if this is another big cavern?
Like, is there plant life and other things like that in this cavern that we could potentially?
Well, you just said no.
No, it's more like a larger. Maybe worthwhile with your saying is that you do move ahead just enough just to do a cursory examination of it, versus just either turning back right now or driving forward.
Okay. What are you about to cast, and can it be reversed? Then would be my tactician's questions.
I was just going to cast Commune with Nature, so we could see if there's anything around there.
Like stone shape, not creating like a gigantic doorway.
Yeah. No, I thought you were about to turn whatever like narrow little passage the bat flew through into a hallway, and then let anything flood back into where we're living right now.
I was just if we're within 30 feet, and this 60, gives me. Or 60 feet, and this gives me a radius of 300 feet.
Yeah, you might as well.
Then we'll have a good idea if there's anything around there.
I say go for it. I'm down.
Yeah.
All right, so you do that. So as you're communing with nature, you can tell that in the new passage up ahead, that it does have evidence of various kinds of life has gone through it. That there is actually.
So with communing with nature, I have terrains and bodies of water. I can do that.
Okay.
I can do prevalent plants, minerals, animals, or peoples. I can do powerful celestials, fae, fiends, elementals, or undead. I can do influence from other planes of existence, and I can do buildings. I have to choose 3 of those
Okay, what are the
options.
3 you've chosen then?
So I'm going to choose terrain and bodies of water.
Let's pause right there for a second. So there are no significant bodies of water within 300 feet.
Okay.
But the terrain, it's mostly solid rock. There's like the narrow little cracks through it here and there. And then there's the tunnel that you're in and the one that says teeing into, which is significantly larger, but it also is relatively flat on the inside of the tunnel. As though
I was about to ask about like stalagmites or stalactites.
Though it's not been worked in some capacity, but maybe over time there's been enough, aggregate has been either left or dumped or just kind of settled into it that it makes a fairly stable platform.
Okay.
And it must have at one point been a cave that was an active cave, a living cave, because there is evidence of different kind of stone, stalactites and stalagmites, columns, and flowstone that are in this area, as though it's some
all
point
of which I'm
bottom
sharing
through.
with everybody else.
Okay.
So a much more like a geologically active cave than most have been thus far.
Geologically active, but okay. So and then the
Can't
next
eat rocks,
so
though.
then the next thing
Used
is
to be.
Yeah, the next thing is prevalent plants, minerals, animals, or peoples.
There are no peoples and there's no plants, but the largest kind of life form you're seeing would be like cave crickets, the same kind of blind cave
the same
crickets
thing.
that are periodically kind of the traveling snack is
Within 300 feet.
you guys have gotten used to them.
Okay.
Jacob in particular.
Yummy.
And then buildings within 300 feet.
There are no buildings in the conventional sense in 300 feet.
Okay.
So
That
if a thing lives in a little stone outcropping of cave, it's
Sure.
just a stone. But there's nothing that's obviously constructed, even if it was an unusual
or
construction.
shaped. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Nothing like that within 300 feet.
Okay. All right. So it doesn't seem like this space is occupied by somebody else if we want to go and then come back.
Yeah. Though it makes me wonder what accumulated the aggregate then if this wasn't a deliberate thing.
That'd probably take a little more of
Yeah.
a more immediate survey.
So with that, I think we'd go back, resupply for, 3 weeks of walking if we can physically manage carrying that stuff.
Where are we?
And then get our
Oh,
gear.
yeah. I see what you mean.
Where are we time wise as far as into this day? Like where into our 2 days of travel
It's
are we?
closer to the end of the day that you probably would have made camp within the next couple of hours anyway for your return trip.
Okay. Did we want to spend any of the remaining spell slots going and doing some investigation now before we just turn around and head back? Because
we have a day worth of stuff with us. How long is it going to take us to get back to base camp?
You have about 2 days worth of stuff on you.
And it's going to take us 2 to get
You'll
back.
take 2
Oh,
to get
I
back.
see.
we just take a couple more hours and go just forward just to get eyes on whatever's on the other side
Well,
here.
I understood this passage was difficult for a bat to get through.
Yeah,
so
I
we
mean,
need to.
I
be
could
slow-
change. I could
expand
change
it.
myself into a
It'd
lizard
be
or
slow
something.
going for
Oh.
you guys to get through.
But you would have to re-prepare your spells anyway to get things like stone shape if that's a thing that you have and stuff like that.
Or,
Okay.
conjuring pixies to turn
I
turn all of us into rats
Yeah.
or bats or what have you.
In that case, yeah, let's turn back now. Head back to.
I've only
Base
used
camp.
the one spell, so we could do it, but
Again, but then we don't have the food.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
What can the pixies cast? Can they cast just
No.
like
Make
No.
food.
for a day? Yeah, make food.
No, make food and water hasn't existed for a while.
So when it came to how narrow it was for the bat,
that's a good
that you do know that, at least as far as that went, that Zelen feels very confident that you guys could traverse this, but it would be a case of where you're going sideways, so your least profile for probably the balance of that 60 feet. So it would be very slow movement.
Right.
But that T intersection,
Do I think I could get myself through with all of my armor and gear?
probably not.
Yeah.
That you would have to have that in a separate bundle.
Right. Yeah. So.
Or we'd have to change the shape so that you could get through.
Right.
Yeah.
Or either our shape or the passages.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So-
was looking at my spells, and the best thing I'd have for that is just Eldritch blasting at it until we dig a tunnel.
So then are you camping right here? Are you moving ahead a little bit? Or are you going back
No,
now
let's
for
head
2
back.
hours?
Yeah, we'll head.
Yeah.
We might have had why
get a head
risk
start on
it?
getting
Just
back?
head
Yeah.
back.
All right. So yeah, you do. You set that camp, and nothing approaches you with that camp. Just a couple of hours back the tunnel, and for the next day, unless you guys are trying something else or anything else to plan, you'll make it back to Vartengrav.
Yeah.
With
My
some of
plans
your
are all
food left
concerning
over.
Vartengrove. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're back to Vartengrav.
Yeah. So let's spend a good bit of time getting a good bit of resources.
Yeah. Same
Were we
thing.
thinking like 20 days? 10 out, 10 back potentially? How far do we want to take this?
And
So
at 10 days of supplies, that would probably be about as much as you could harvest at one time without things replenishing itself.
Right.
You probably
Yeah.
could do
So
more than that.
Let's do
Yeah.
that then. That's a good place to call it as
yeah, kind of a next
as much as
stage.
we think we could possibly take from this place and it still come back.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably going to take us, a couple of weeks to accumulate. But all right. Yeah.
All right. So then you're here
We've got an option. We've got a potential out. All right.
So 14 days
You guys don't seem anywhere near as excited about this as I am.
that you might.
I'm dubious. I'm cautious.
We've got some kind of a passage.
Yeah.
If we don't have peoples, we'll have ruins.
I'm getting more and more curious though. What's down that last passage that we didn't go? Because if we went through, 10 out of 11 passages, like what was in passage 11? And it's gonna haunt me until the day I die.
It's a portal that takes us to surface, not what we're here for.
Exactly.
You go down at 10 feet and find a staircase that just goes up and up and up and
Yeah,
up and up and up.
a lit exit sign.
Yeah.
It's actually you're in the tubes
Plus
in
16
England.
weapons and armor with shape-shifting capacities and a dragon to fly around on. Not what we need.
You go through the surface. White Cliffs of
We
Dover.
need food.
Then during that 14 days, why don't you guys describe then how you're going to get your gear through, or what the plan is once you get back to that point where it narrows down, and you're talking about changing the shape of yourselves, the gear, or the tunnel. What will you do so when you get back out to that point?
Changing the shape of the tunnel or of us is, as far as I'm aware, Zellen's prerogative.
Pixies were going to be the main source.
Yeah, so leaving aside pixification, from there it's just, kind of backpack and supplies, which is easy enough to maneuver through. My big concern is the armor and shield.
Right.
Does
the polymorph not take your gear with you?
No, it does. But
okay.
Asked about mundane stuff. So, assuming we don't go that route.
What's the backup plan? Yeah.
Right. Then it'd be, kind of backpack and hammer in one hand, armor and shield in the other, trying to kind of drag it as like a bundle.
Okay.
Doing what I can to keep kind of the armor in the curve of the shield. I'm assuming my javelins are in your magic quiver of Holditude.
More than likely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you have all your magical items kind of properly charged up, with your spell storing stuff?
I don't do... Yeah, the Ring of Spell Storing has had stuff because I haven't really had need for smites or the spells I've stored in it, which would be Protection from Evil and Good and 2 castings of Branding Smite.
Okay. I don't think anyone else has anything that holds on to magical things.
Yeah, from there, it's just like rings, circlets, and stuff in backpack or dimensional pockets. So...
All right, so then, unless you have anything else to say or to share about that, Zelen,
how big is Liamon's secret chest?
I don't know.
I'm so disappointed in you.
Lemon's secret chest.
Thank you. Of all people to say it correctly, I didn't want it to be you.
Buffer.
So I can, if we're here for 20 days, I can call dryads who then can make good berries, which...
What spell you using to call these dryads?
They only last for 24 hours.
Okay.
But they do feed you.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the summoning spell you'd get those with?
The
dryads.
The call woodland creatures.
Oh, okay. So rather than pixies, you could pick dryads.
Right. Well, while we're preparing, here's what I think. While we're preparing, so we could prepare more food, I can summon them. They can feed us the good berries so that everything we gather, we can hold for our trip. So then maybe we could actually...
expedite the operation?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, because there are fey plant shenanigans that live on magic. So.
Right.
Do we have berries to good berry is the question then.
They just appear.
The berries appear?
Yep, up to 10 berries appear in your hand and are infused with magic for the duration.
The components...
A creature can use it.
Yeah, the components requires a sprig of mistletoe.
Yeah, so there you go.
Well, yeah, druid pouch.
I guess whenever I hear these kinds of spells, like conjure woodland beings, what I imagine is that they're out in the woods somewhere and you're like drawing them to yourselves, because that interpretation would not work down here because they're not there to show up. It's a matter of
in that case, then we would still have some pixies with us from when we first got down here.
Is it a case of where they just blip into being when you cast the spell?
I think it's arcane energy, just kind of like in the...
Technically divine because she's a druid, but all the spell says is you summon fake creatures that appear in unoccupied spaces you can see.
Yeah, that does imply that they didn't just walk up, that they went right
summon
there.
And appear,
Yeah. Okay. Back in the day, I played that very differently with a different incarnation of rule. So I'm just rereading that right now.
They mold out of the rock. They've been waiting for an adventure party to pass this exact location.
Yeah, because it's not like we're in some kind of strange oasis of nature magic.
Exactly. That would be so convenient.
All right. So I'm on board with your plan that it's possible. So keep talking.
Yeah. So while during these 20 days, I can call them every other day because it lasts for 24 hours, get some good berries from them. So then all the stuff we're gathering. So maybe at the end, instead of just having 10 days of rations, we might have 15 days or 18 days.
Right.
So we can travel a little bit longer.
Yes. Though the stipulation, the stipulation wasn't you can carry 10 days or 20 days or however many. It was that we couldn't harvest more than that. Yeah.
Right. That was, 10 days worth was the max to harvest in that time period.
Well, we had been saying 10 days out, 10 days back. Are you saying 10 days total? So 5 out, 5 back?
Right.
Okay.
5 out, 5 back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, is there some amount of rock, or maybe even, I'm wondering, because I love collecting these random pieces of whatever for my purposes later of turning into weapons.
Yeah.
pieces of this this deity, this skeleton for the guardian that was here, is there anything just like on the ground there around there that I might be able to take that could potentially be formed into arrowheads? Is even like firm enough that I think it would be.
Go ahead.
So while we're harvesting
roll.
greens and smoking fish, he's got a rock and he's hitting the skeleton to make arrows.
Go ahead and do that as a survival check, David.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's like David has
Jacob.
a horrible survival score. Yeah.
How I do that sometimes.
23.
As you've been surveying this skeletal structure for all this time, you recognize that the parts of the skeleton you'd have the best time attempting that with would be different portions of the individual spinal column, the vertebrae. So if you take some thwacks at that to see how well they'd shear, you just what the.
I'll ask the paladin before I do that. Before I deface the body of this ancient
that's
being.
a good idea.
Because the last thing I want is to piss him off and him having to kill me because God said so.
Yeah, that'd be the second time that happened to one of your characters. And it was a barbarian the first time. I will make a nature check to see if that would be the evils.
A religion check?
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
I've got a 6 on my nature check. Oh, and an 8 on my religion.
You have no idea by any kind of theology what that would be like for it to be.
Not my church, have it, bud.
Cool, yeah, and I was like, I don't know if that'll make anyone mad. Try it. So,
so
we'll try it. If you get blasted by lightning, it might blast a hole in the ceiling and let us climb out.
It doesn't cross anybody he knows.
I give it a few whacks.
So let's just say it's more than that. That
over the
next handful of days that you're practicing how to hit this thing, how to take chips off, because you can crack it, and you do wind up cracking a couple of these vertebrae, where they go to those, like longer points. But then you're starting to learn just how they have their, what's tantamount to a pattern, a grain in it, and you are able to take broader pieces off and work on, it's called napping the stone, and you're getting pieces that you think you could actually use as weapons.
You guys are out doing all the hard work, and I'm napping.
They do actually.
What else is new?
They do actually shear, the pieces shear to a glass-like edge as you're breaking them off. It just takes a tremendous amount of force. If anything, you probably had to borrow Boris's hammer to do this, because there's nothing else that would work quite that way.
No, you're not using my awesome hammer to do that.
I mean, I also have like Arngol stuff too, but
what piece do you use then?
I mean, I have the arrowheads that have the Arngol stuff.
I mean, to actually hit the rock hard enough to take chips off of it.
Oh, I would probably just see if I could find a different rock.
Another rock?
Yeah, like a larger.
Okay, so a little less
if someone's going to be stingy with their hammer.
Yeah, but you are getting the idea that what I just said a moment ago, that you can take larger pieces off, almost like the size of your palm.
I mean, I know making arrowheads with a holy artifact of my religion goes against my religion. I don't know about
since I so frequently make my own arrowheads and stuff like that, it would be easy to say like I have some kind of like a hatchet when it comes like the more fine tuning stuff. Like when I get to that point, because I had to have been making these things somehow. Probably doesn't do anything to work on the Arngol steel, but like the regular arrowheads and stuff like that I would be able to.
Well, two sets of things. Yeah, we could definitely say that you have some sort of a file with you to work down a conventional head. But the best napping tools for that fine, doing a fine edge on an arrowhead is actually a piece of antler. And you work the antler to whatever the right shape is. So very easily, we can retro play that you have a piece of antler that you've worked to use the broad area where it touches the...
I will swap out the rotting dragon corpse I have in my book bag for some antlers.
Your book bag? I love that. Jansport. But the end of it where it touches the deer skull, where it comes off of that, that can be used certain ways, the individual points, and would have worked the thing by this time. So yeah, you have a rudimentary napping tool that allows you to work these things up. So you're gathering, say it's a couple, maybe 3 pounds of stone, if you want that much, that came from the vertebrae of this giant.
Yeah.
That you could work into reasonable arrowheads, stone arrowheads.
I think so. And just because of how rare it is, probably won't spend the time to turn them in arrowheads now, try and get the best use out of them later when I can have a better set of tools to do that with.
Definitely one of a kind.
Yeah.
All right, so the rest of this time goes by. You're gathering, so you're visited by dryads every day for a brief period of time. Every other day. And you're getting how many of these good berries?
10.
And how long do the good berries themselves last?
24 hours.
Okay, so then you're using those as your food for now?
Yeah.
To save on rations for then.
later, yeah.
Correct.
All right.
So that way we're accumulating.
You can add days to it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so then
I definitely think that
10,
my list of stuff that I have is just fantastically odd. And like before now, the weirdest thing that I had was, Jim tipped owl arrows or 12 apple tree wisps. But now I have 3 pounds of guardian spinal cord or spinal column.
So you had said you used for 14 days, I think is what Zelen said. But had you said more? Like
no,
20,
more
14?
travel time.
Okay.
14 days of harvesting we were estimating.
14 with your rations, 10. So at the end of that time period, you have 24 days worth of rations. Now, again, it's been lean living.
Yeah.
So you actually could go 12 days out, 12 days back if you had to.
Nice.
Yeah, long time.
Nice.
And then I'm guessing with all your preparations made, you are now setting out?
Yep.
And we're a little thinner, so we should be able to get through
Yeah,
this.
right. Maybe that's why it's easier to get through these spots.
Carrying gear in bundles.
You're down to 3% body fat or so.
Right.
All right. So you travel out those 2 days and there is no encounter. You're back to that same place where you were, 16 days or 18 days ago. Yeah. You guys have been down here for like a month and a half at this point.
Yeah, it's probably pushing
underground
2.
like this. And
I've lost my glow.
You're right. And
Your
Orange is as pale as I am.
feels kind of shaggy and dirty.
We got daggers.
Yeah, well, and we could keep ourselves clean because there's water there, so we could wash.
Swimming with all the fish.
Or
That's
not.
right.
And you're at that narrow spot where Zelen first sent Jast through.
Yep.
So what are you doing?
Okay. So are we ready for me to change the rocks? Here's what I can do with stone shape.
All right, let's hear it.
So here are our options, team. I can do stone shape. I touch a stone object of medium size or smaller, a section of stone no more than 5 feet in any dimension, and form it into any shape that suits me. So for example, you could shape a large rock into a weapon, idol, or coffer, or make a small passage through a wall, as long as the wall is less than 5 feet thick. So that's one option. We could physically change this.
Is the wall less than 5 feet thick?
Well, let's work it like this, because there's actually already an opening there that's being traversed. You're just like rearranging that. Let's say that instead of for 5 feet, it'll be 3 times. So you could make 15 feet of this, more easily passable, more easily traversable. The length of that, moving that.
So
rock.
you're gonna need like 4 castings.
So option B is to call our pixies and have them transform us and all our gear so we can just slither through as lizards, get into the space.
Can they make us anything that can fly?
Make us
they,
anything.
They can make us anything.
Yeah.
Polymorph, they can make us anything. So we
Just-
could all be
just-
bats.
Yeah, just for travel time, being able to fly might be better if it's something that if it does have a, and also, I mean, if it means like, oh,
Brief
hey, that's
intermission
our,
while we look up the
like-
technicalities of polymorph.
yeah, because that's our exit. It's up there, and it's like, but it's 100 feet up. But if we can fly, that might be exactly what we need. Especially if we only have a limited number of castings for polymorph.
It would definitely make it its own gate for other things, because obviously if things are moving through that other tunnel, which you haven't explored yet, but it's a real possibility, they've not come down here.
Yeah.
The one you're in right now.
So that's my thought process. Do we have any restrictions that you found so far on what polymorph allows you to and to not do?
I'm going less restrictions and more kind of shenanigans.
Oh, is there just like a list of things that polymorph allows you to be?
Quite the opposite.
Be yourself.
Be a thing.
But
Hey, but was there a third option, Zelen? Are you still
No,
looking up
those
stuff
are
about the
just
second
A's
one?
and B's.
Okay.
A's and B's.
Okay, so
Option 1, option B.
Well, it sounds like Jacob wants to do B.
I do.
here's an amusing technicality. Polymorph has no restriction on. Oh no, darn! It is any beast.
Aha. Oh, so it's just like wild shape.
It is arguably better than wild shape because we're restricted by our challenge rating, i.e., our level, as opposed to one set by a threshold. So, because I'm used to a different rule set, I was just like, let's all turn into like will-o'-the-wisps that we're tiny and have a ridiculous fly speed and way more maneuverable.
And glowy.
But that's not actually an option.
All right. So, but do you have a preference of those two choices that Zelen made?
Oh, yeah, transforming.
And
Yeah.
Zelen?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
so
transformation
decisions made.
makes
So then what's
sense.
the critter?
Yeah, that's the question.
Bat is probably going to be the most effective.
What's a quipper?
It's a fish.
Yeah. Oops.
We could be a camel.
Again, we need to maneuver through a small space.
I know. I was just saying we could be a camel.
We could be a T-Rex.
I'm not
It just
trying.
wouldn't help us.
I'm not trying to help. I'm just letting you know.
It could happen.
Well, I mean, there's this list of beasts goes on and on. We could be elephants, then we could just do both. We
Okay,
could
yeah,
transform and break through.
Raven, vulture, bloodhawk.
All right, we'll be beasts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just
You mean
wasting
bats?
time. Bats.
We're just
That's what
gonna
I
be
meant. We're just gonna be beasts. Just general
uncategorized
Right.
beast.
beasts.
Okay.
Our
So
table manners will be awful.
Can I have big canines?
All right, so I'm gonna conjure woodland beings, cast that, and
have them turn us into
yeah,
bats.
have them turn us into bats with all of our stuff.
All
We
right.
fly through thing, drop
do.
10 feet,
So-
take a point of damage, turn back into ourselves.
Very easily, you go, right? You fly through it. You're not at the other end of this. You're in this.
Well, before I transform back into a human, I want to fly around this because I'd be able to get up taller than what I will as a human. Like, is there anything above me? Is there anything in a bat form that I can
Let's
pick
do a little
up?
exploration while we're here.
Exactly.
I have
in
a
our-
question though.
In our
I have
bat
an answer
form.
to that.
A single bat is also listed is listed as beast, but a swarm of bats also has the beast type. What's stopping us from just being turned into multiple bats?
Fragmentary personality or something.
Efficiency, because then that whole swarm has to go through as opposed to a bat.
I know.
but it is
one
kind
of
of
them,
fun.
like,
Kinda
I'm
fun.
missing a foot.
I'm a whole bunch of things.
If you want to volunteer to be crippled, there are easier ways.
I don't know. I was thinking that when you reform, that could be a real scary thing if you could actually do that. You reform from a whole bunch of bats
I
into one
tried
person.
to turn Boris into a paladin or into the vampire with all the vampire shenanigans earlier, but no.
Yeah. I'm mean that way.
They don't like coagulate back into the right form, so like my head's coming out my ass like it mostly is.
What else is new?
All right. So is everyone staying in that form?
And exploring, yeah, we might as
So
well.
I'm guessing then you didn't actually give the pixies a cue as to when to turn you back, not just traversing to the larger cavern, which means you probably would have to drop 10 feet, take a point of damage to turn yourself back into yourself.
Whack my
again.
head against the wall.
You
Yeah,
just
it-
fly straight into the wall for a point of damage. All
As
right.
above, a brief moment of death, and then we're back to ourselves.
All right. So then it just,
Yes,
just hurts for a
episode
moment.
65
And
or whatever it was.
You are, I guess, just roll what direction you're going into. The tunnel goes in two different ways.
Do we have to pick randomly, or can I just say I'm going to the left?
I think just pick randomly because we didn't. This wasn't stated before you guys got there.
I'm going up higher,
Okay, so you're staying high. Got it. But to
and then I'll circle clockwise.
it's they're more like a tube, or it's so you're just
left.
Yeah.
okay. So you're just turning. Okay, got it. All right, and
Assuming we can do that, because
actually-
what we're able to do
Yeah.
seems to vary significantly every time we use this.
Yeah, but depending on, so like maybe not just going left, but we had the idea of like a breeze or kind of an air there. If I still have that same kind of a sense as a bat, I'd like to go in that direction, kind of trying to chase down that breeze. If it happens to be the left, then that way, but just moving in that direction.
okay, so sort of following where the air seems different or the origins of that different air.
Yeah.
That will actually be in the other direction. So Zelen goes one way, Jacob goes the other way, and Boris?
Flies in the middle and looks confused. Who do I protect?
Yeah. Right.
I fly to the floor and stand guard right here.
I squeak as loud as I can to try and get y'all's attention to say like,
Per
this
squawk.
way. Squeak, squeakity squeak, squeaking.
Squeaking. Yeah, go that way.
That was to the right, you said?
Yeah, where
Okay.
breeze is happening.
All right, so
Can I get Zelen's attention?
nope.
Why can't we?
Oh, I don't know. Go ahead.
Fly over, get her, and like just like smack her with my wing. And
All right,
we have
fine.
all
I'll
manner
follow
of
them.
Communication mode. Yeah.
One little back claw just comes extended above the rest of them.
Well, it'd be the middle of the wing.
Yeah, so it's always there.
A series of-
bats are always giving you the claw.
Well, no, jazz hands.
Mm.
They fly through the power of jazz hands. Incidentally, a
series
brief
of
moment of
clicks.
death was episode 69, not 65.
Nice. All right, I will. I'll do whatever clicks are necessary to communicate as a bat to the other bat, and we'll
And
go
I'll follow
towards the air.
The
All
other
right,
two bats.
so you're flying in the direction of the air, and the tunnel never seems to quite narrow down. It stays about the same dimension,
Width.
and it does start to descend, which surprises you because the air is a different quality air, and you're starting to get to places where there's actually vegetation clinging to the wall, so like lichens and things like that, and it looks like
Dang it, we could have just set up a base camp.
Half of a good sign.
And it looks like there's more sign of wear on the walls themselves, as though things have been drug through here or moved through here for either a lot or for long periods of time. Things have been like taken through this at different places.
But we're still moving down.
But it is still like on a slight down. It's not precipitously going down.
Okay.
But it looks to you, and I don't know, Jacob, make a survival check while you're
do you maintain your
form.
Yeah, do you maintain your
I
skills?
don't know, but let's just wing that and just go ahead and make that is a thank you.
30.
Yeah. Was that a natural then?
No, it's an 18. But if I was
wow.
if I was a bat, that would actually be a 19, which I think is also still very good.
Okay, I was gonna knock 2 off of it, which is still mighty incredible.
The target's game statistics, including mental abilities, are replaced by the statistics of the chosen beast.
Oh, okay. So we're operating with an intelligence of 2.
All right, so the 30 becomes a 19.
I'm not sure you could even like have turned Zelen around and be like, "Where's that one going?" We don't know. But it's a
because bats can't
very
communicate
good roll, but I don't know
with
you'd
each
even
other.
have the perceptive wherewithal to actually make these
Yeah,
determinations.
I would still think
at
like
2, you're like suddenly like, duh, don't care.
How high up are we?
It varies as you're flying, but
How high up are we currently?
you could be about like 30 feet up inside this cavern.
Okay, I'm going to descend to 10, then just lock wings and drop because this is inefficient.
Okay, so the 2 of you notice that one of your bat companions has decided he doesn't live in this bat world anymore.
I start mourning and I go through all 7 stages. By the time I get to anger, I do it too.
7?
Is it not 7?
5.
5? Well, you're
Maybe bats have 7.
actually number 6 is repression. So
And then 7 is second anger.
Okay, so there are 2 dull plops onto the floor.
I think it's more of a...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
And you guys rise out of the plop.
I'll do the same.
And the same. All right, so you're all standing yourselves once more in this passageway.
Are the pixies still there? Do they just follow us? I'm assuming?
We still have the pixies.
Yeah, they're just watching us like, we could have dispelled that at any time, but we didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
We like making you guys
They're
die.
eating popcorn because you guys are
Hey,
so
the-
entertaining.
The pixies can also cast fly on us. So then we could just fly up there as ourselves, so we had intelligence and look around. Why is this so funny?
That was all I wanted.
That was so after the fact. That was maybe if we had something we could fly.
All I wanted was to be able to fly. It's like, well, they can cast fly. Like, no, really? All right, yeah. Okay, so keeping that one in our back pocket. And now with my...
Well, my perceptive range is just doubled, so...
Do you want a...
I don't need a new one. The roll you
Okay.
made just before is fine. So as you're picking yourself up off the ground, you're very aware of it around you. And you note that there are tracks on it. And with a roll of 30, that you can tell that the tracks themselves, the patterning's wrong. It's different. And as you're letting your brain or making your brain readjust to that these are different, you actually think that whatever made these tracks must be hexapedal.
And that means...
What does that mean?
6 legs?
6
Yeah,
legs.
6
Okay.
legs.
Right.
All right. And size, can I get a...
Can I misconstrue these tracks as a written language conveying information about whatever's moving?
You do, and it actually has the lyrics to the Moody Blues "Nice and White Satin."
Awesome.
What's being communicated.
What are
to
the
us.
odds?
It's pretty low.
Enough monkeys and typewriters.
Yeah, no kidding.
But any idea on size?
Medium-sized creatures. You're thinking just by the nature of the tracks, they look very similar to insect, like ant tracks,
But
big.
Yeah, but man-sized.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly something that would be, 175 pounds.
All right.
cracks my knuckles. Well,
Moving
sounds
through
edible.
here.
All right, I'm going to
No.
take a bit of time and gear up because that sounds like the wrong kind of adventure.
Are you gonna
Fine.
So
hastily
can you
don?
tell how
No.
can you tell how long ago these things have gone through here? Is
Yeah,
this
with-
like they're
With that roll that
With a DC, with a check of
Yeah.
30.
With-
yeah.
with
Judging by
what-
this, they're standing right behind us.
with what Jacob just made, there's some more information to pick up on. One was where you saw that there was areas where the stone seems polished. It's not just at ground level. In some cases, it's where there's a natural crack in the rock. It looked like these things would have gone right up the side of the rock where there's things it could hold on to, and then just dragging its body like around a corner has polished the stone. Like just how that happens.
Okay.
So shattering numbers
So
have
with-
moved through
I was
this
gonna
say,
area
yes.
for
with that,
unknown.
I'll look around.
Yes.
Does it look like we're in what would be some sort of a giant ant hill.
Well, you've like upturned logs
that's
and
an
dug into
interesting thing.
things. It doesn't have that look. It's still the natural formation of stone. It's just that it's been utilized for these things to travel through here, and their very body seems to have polished it because they've moved through it
Moderately
so much.
reassuring.
So-
They don't eat rock.
Yeah.
I guess the nature spell wouldn't really help us because we know there's something that goes through here.
Right, yeah. It's more picking a direction and going that way.
All right.
Yeah, I am taking the time, though, to gear up, especially
Okay.
since we're moving
Do we want to just track
such an
down
open
this
way.
thing? Do we want to follow? Because I mean, you got to think. For the most part, they might return to the surface for certain things, or at least they'll have some source of like food or water.
They'll
And
have some
water.
kind of a dwelling place.
So I think we follow the tracks and see if we can find out where they are, and hope that there's not enough that we can't take them if they are hostile.
Right, yeah.
Maybe they're just like the ants from Ant-Man. They're actually just like dogs, and they could be
So-
very friendly.
Yeah, right.
He
I could do
hopes.
locate animals or plants, describe or name a specific kind of beast or plant, concentrating on the voice of nature and your surroundings. You learn the direction and distance to the closest creature or plant of that kind
Okay.
within 5 miles.
It's worth a try for two reasons. One, it'll indicate to us whether or not these are just giant ants by being able to detect them as beasts, or if you go detecting giant ants and we get nothing, we know that they're, aberrations or outsiders or some offshoot that is potentially intelligent.
Got it. All right. So that's what I'm going to
Good
do.
call.
I'm going to
Okay.
do look with my staff. That's why I'm doing it like this.
Okay, yeah.
I'm doing locate
That's why she's making these
animals-
body movements that you can all definitely see.
locate animals
Something
or
pay us,
plants
something camera.
with the staff.
And the range on that one is 5 miles.
5 miles. But I'm going
We're
to describe like it on 6 legs.
From what Jacob said, that it's chitinous,
Exactly.
has an exoskeleton.
It's the weight of it. So I'm that's kind of guessing
that
the
we're
size of it.
ballparking based on the tracks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe it comes through a little on the shaky side because it's not a thing, but you
Yeah.
do get it. And whatever these things are, you know that there are about 20 of them that are about 1,000 feet away, and that there are hundreds of them that are maybe about 2 miles away.
Well,
Wow.
there's something
I-
qualifying as beast then, so...
I cast detect challenge rating to see if we can take them.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Well, only way out is through.
Yep.
Let's see if we've got a new campsite or allies.
We're either going to survive or die trying.
Yeah. So is there anything we want to do to prep as we go and encounter these?
My stuff is mostly in the moment.
Same.
Yeah, it's all hitty stuff or how to hit
So-
better stuff.
Yeah, or not get
I
hit
was
by
thinking
stuff.
like persuasion, or is there anything we need to hide on ourselves that
No,
they
well,
might not like?
detect-
I hide my rod of ant killing.
You detect,
My
yeah,
bottle
we call
of
that
Raid.
a hammer. You cast detect beasts, and it came back as beasts, so they're animals.
Yeah. So they're probably not smart.
Yeah, so I don't think it's like we're going to be walking into a city. I think it's, we've found something akin to giant ants.
Yeah. What can the pixies cast again?
We have them for an hour, and they can cast confusion,
right here. too.
dancing lights. Oh yeah, detect evil, detect good and evil, detect thoughts, dispel magic, entangle, fly, phantasmal force, or sleep.
Okay. So
We can
if
put them
nothing
all
else,
to sleep.
if it gets horrible, maybe entangle could help us. At least maybe block a passageway so that way we can make a hasty retreat. But
Wall of thorns.
wall of thorns
or
too.
sleep.
Oh, yeah,
we could put them all to sleep.
Well,
That depends
on how
really
many.
on hit points, yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, still, we're just trying to figure out our
We've got
contingencies.
Yeah.
we've got some options.
All right,
All right.
so we'll keep the pixies with us. Let's move the direction where we
start
think
heading.
they
All
are.
right, moving forward. All right,
And
so
I think I'll be taking point since direction is fairly obvious, and I have the best visual acuity down here.
I would agree with that.
Are we lighting torches? Or have you cast dark
Oh,
vision?
that's a good idea.
Because I keep
would,
forgetting we're not in a hallway.
I would say light
I keep
torches
forgetting
because
too,
these
actually.
things
Yeah.
probably aren't accustomed to seeing in the light.
Okay, yeah.
So that might give us a little bit of an
So
advantage over
y'all
them.
two have illumination.
Yeah, but
have-
I'm just going to cast produce flame.
Yeah, sure. Fuelless torch.
Yep.
Acetylene torch.
the
I
eternal
call it my
flame.
palm torch.
Yeah, right.
All right,
The other
so,
burning hands.
Then it's Boris's first in party,
Yes.
Yep.
Jacob or Zelen, who's
How wide is this passage?
We'll put
Uh,
Zal in the middle. I'll go back.
It's between 8 and 10 feet. It varies,
Okay,
but it's the largest passage that's been stable you guys have been in the entire time.
Zell in the middle, on my kind of towards my left. Jacob in rear towards the right.
Okay, so you
That
can
way,
shoot past.
that way we have some staggered line of fire. Yeah.
All right.
Are ants as good as climbers as spiders?
Yes.
Well, judging by what we were looking in there,
Yeah.
it seems like they were. Yeah.
The only place where it wasn't worn that way was way up high on the walls and the ceiling, but it did seem to need natural cracks.
Yeah, but at that point, it's just getting to a matter of practicality.
Right. So as you guys are traversing that distance, go ahead and do perceptions, roll perceptions.
Handy. Oh, there we go. I had, with my bonus, 14.
22.
I rolled very poorly. 15.
Actually, they all make the DC.
Nice.
Oh,
You
so
rolled
these things
very
are
poorly and
loud.
Beat
So,
mine by 1.
There's enough. You hear like a very subtle and distant clicking. Jacob, you would imagine, you can picture it, that it's things on stone. It's actually there.
Can I tell if it's getting louder, like coming towards us, or getting quieter, going away from us?
Yes, it's getting louder toward you.
Okay, so they're
And-
coming at us.
Can I get distance at all?
Of 60, 80 feet, something like that. Probably just like around the next bend or
Can
something.
I get a
Okay.
concept of speed?
Walking speed.
And you said they sound like it was moving towards us?
Moving towards us.
All right, cool.
So incoming.
Yeah.
All
Hunkering
right.
down,
Yeah.
knock an arrow.
Bracing.
All right, so, and then into your area of light, apparently undaunted by the light that you guys are casting, you see that almost filling the tunnel, that there's easily 8, 10, maybe 12 of these things, that they're moving on all 6. A couple, and they crest into that area, raise up, and they're still moving with 4 of their legs, and the other 2 are up, almost like hands being forward. But they're coming and moving right at you without pause of any sort. And it's...
I was going to say insight. Are they attacking or are they just running past us?
Yeah.
Are they running from something themselves?
Yeah, should we be running away?
16. Oh, no, 19.
Yeah, you guys can roll insights if you want to, but it's very
16.
tough. There's no facial features, no recognition, body language.
Yeah, why
it's
not?
totally new. So the DC is going to be relatively high. Well,
17.
and I was going to
Why?
say, and rolled at disadvantage.
Oh, 5. Take it or leave it.
6. Take
2
it away.
natural ones. Thank you for letting me get both of those out.
They're now out of the way.
Yeah, my 17 has been supplanted by a 6.
And Zelen,
What am I doing?
you're rolling 2 20-siders.
2 insights to see if you can figure out if they are
Yeah,
attacking
insight
us.
at disadvantage.
6 plus whatever your insight is.
Insight is 9.
Oh, dang.
All right,
15.
so
Not bad.
15.
you guys have no idea what they're up to, but they're moving at you, counting them down at 20. Where are you guys in it? Wise?
11.
16.
19.
All right, so Zelen, 19. What are you doing?
I'm going to cast Speak with Animals. I gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the durations.
Is it specific to the beast type?
No.
I think it's just that
Okay,
type
that
itself.
thing. I
It says
got
you gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the duration.
Cool.
The knowledge and awareness of many beasts is limited by their intelligence, but at minimum, beasts
So-
can give you information.
Yes, that is limited to the beast type.
Cool.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
what do you tell them?
We're strangers. We're lost. We're trying to get back to the surface.
All right, so as you do that, they seem to be totally ignoring it. There's no reaction from them whatsoever.
Do they even pause? Do they even notice the spell? Anything at all?
Not a pause in it whatsoever. And more are filing through in the hallway behind. The next, I think, was it Jacob at 6? No,
11.
It was
He's got
Boris,
16.
16.
16.
They're almost on top of you guys.
Yeah, that is an
It's a bit of a predicament.
issue. Yeah, I consider that some problems.
Sticky wicket.
How close is practically on top of?
That you would only need to move about a third of your move and attack if you wanted to.
10 feet. Neat. I'm gonna Eldritch Blast one.
All right. Twist it.
But we need them.
We need to eat them. 11 versus armor class.
It actually misses.
Firing into a crowd, though.
Yeah, I guess it's like off of their natural chitin hides. Yeah, so they seem to be nonplussed by the Eldritch Blast, which would be, for all of you, kind of a scary thing, I think, that it definitely encountered one of them.
Yeah.
It just didn't do anything to it.
Nice.
We
as
understand
that
what a
happens.
miss is. I've rarely hit with that.
Right. So, Jacob, you're next.
Does one of them look particularly in charge?
That are moving toward you this close? No, they all look to be equally as...
Then lead one has got an arrow incoming. Get over to that page where arrows happen. 22.
Yeah, it definitely hits.
Nice. I'll do it in between my shots. I forgot to cast Hunter's Mark.
Well, I didn't cast Hex because I don't want to waste the spell slots because I'm not sure if they're attacking us yet. That's why I didn't hammer them because I knew that would definitely splatter things and I don't want to completely
11
ruin.
points.
It takes significant damage, but it's still trying to move forward.
Okay.
Oh.
Like it's not even acting upon its own intentions kind of thing? Like it's a zombie kind of? Like it's just...
It definitely would be, if that's how it hits your brain, that it does look like it's not even...
If you want to use that word, that's your business.
Yeah, that's right. It's zombie's your word. But it's just moving forward. It hasn't... Well, it has slowed down. It can't help it. But it's still proceeding toward whatever its goal is.
Oh, there's definitely something screwy here. I'll call out to Boris and Zelen, like, are we going to stand our ground or do we want to retreat?
Oh, well, they're here. So I think that's a little moot.
Well, and there's 500 of them throughout this cave system.
But there's only 8 of them right here in front of us now?
About a dozen.
A dozen? I'll take my second shot.
All right.
Hold on. I didn't see what it was. I picked it back up.
Okay.
Hunter's Mark.
I need my finger off of it.
All right.
At the same one or at a different one?
Let's do a different one since I'm going to be doing 3 dice of damage. Oh, no. I'll do the same one because I'll be able to do that. Hunter's Mark is...
a D6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. All right. Oh, my God, yeah. How's a 32?
That definitely hits, and then some.
And then rolling Colossus Slayer and Hunter's Mark and regular dice. 12, 27.
All right, so when you hit that, and that was the hit or that was the damage?
That was the damage.
That was the damage, yeah. So when you hit it, it immediately drops, and it's just a few feet in front of Boris, just off to the right-hand side just a little bit. So it's that close. And it drops immediately, and the others don't even pause. They're still walking forward. One's walking right up over it. And now the first one in that lead is walking right past Boris. And now one is flanking him on the opposite side. And now it's right up on you, Jacob, and it's passing you. And they are simply proceeding down this hallway right past you, ignoring the fact that one was killed. And at this point, you hear a voice, each of you, in your head. And it says, "Sister, cousin, stop this violence and let us talk."
Thanks for listening. We know there are so many podcasts out there. We appreciate you choosing ours. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Empire's Edge to make your voice heard. And put your money where your mouth is and subscribe to us on subscribestar.com/the-empires-edge.